I'm good. How are you? That's a good question. So, yes, it was actually influenced by it. So I have struggled with mental health ever since I was 15. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PTSD when I was 15, and that's when I first understood how crucial mental health is and how bad one's situation could get. When they are struggling with mental health issues. So it has been like so. I have advocated for mental health, and it gave me a lot of strength to understand that whatever I have, like the message that I have to spread with other people, it has some value to it. And I felt like I could be an asset to the field of psychology, considering my strengths and also my personal experiences. So it gives me a lot of insight into what it feels like to live with bipolar or for any other like condition like depression, PTSD. So because I have first-hand experience, it definitely did impact my decision because I felt like I could be an asset based on my personal experiences. Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder where you experience fluctuations in your moods. There are periods where you have highs and lows. When there's a high, we call that as mania or hypomania. And when there is a low, we call that as depression. So that is characterized by changes in your mood swings, in your energy levels, in your concentration, in your cognitive abilities. And there are different types of bipolar. So depending on the type that you got, you will experience like different intensities of disorder that you different intensities of the mood swings that you experience. Yeah. Whenever I'm going through any episode, like let's say when I'm going through depression, it's a low episode, right? So it affects my abilities where I'm not able to think clearly. There's fogginess in my head. There is concentration levels are being, affected a little. My decision making skills are impaired. I have low energies, which means I am unable, sometimes on really bad days, I'm unable to get out of bed. It's hard to keep up with my daily activities, with my daily commitments. It's hard to like show up or feel motivated enough or to have any energy to do anything, honestly. On the days where if I experience an episode of hypomania, so I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2, which means that I experience the highs are called hypomania, which is a milder version of mania. And it's not like bipolar type 2 is characterized by more episodes of depression than hypomania. So I don't experience hypomania as often, but whenever I have experienced it, it usually what happens is my energy levels are off the chart. I am very energetic. I sleep very less, like I sleep like 3 to 4 hours or 2 hours a day. And yeah, it's my risk management skills are a little like averse, like I'm not able to manage it properly. So you tend to put yourself in risky situations, or maybe you spend money more because of that. Your So you tend to think like your thoughts run at a very fast speed as well. So it's hard to catch up with your speech and your thought as well. So you like tend to like just ramble on a lot. You have very grandiose ideas, so you feel like you can achieve a lot more. Like it's very not like realistic at all, this ideas that you have in your head. And you tend to take on a lot more on your plate that you can possibly give your energy to. Making the tiniest decisions could get a little difficult if I'm going through depression. And when I'm going like right now I'm going through a very stable, it's called euthymia, it's very stable. So right now I'm doing fairly well for myself, where I'm not experiencing any mood swings or any of those episodes at the moment. But yeah, so these like your day-to-day activities, like feeling energetic in the morning, that really depends your energy levels in the morning or throughout the day, or how much you sleep, how much you eat, your appetite, your hydration, everything gets affected. In depression, they last, so for in my personal experience, they've lasted anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months, sometimes 4 months too. and in hypomania they last about 1 to 2 weeks, and the after effects, so to completely get out of an episode it might take me like 3 weeks to come out of it. That's actually a really good question. I think you can feel lonely anywhere, to be honest. It's not just being in India. So with mental health, it used to be a very lonely journey. So when I was initially diagnosed with it, coming to terms with it, I didn't really have any caregivers, and I didn't have like a good enough support system at the very start. So getting the diagnosis, accepting the diagnosis, figuring it out, okay, how does this work, what does this mean, how do I get out of it, is there a way out of it? So bipolar doesn't have a cure yet, so it just means that you can manage the condition, but right now, it's not like completely treatable. It has been pretty lonely in terms of that. Even when I was 15, 16, people don't get that, because when you're 15 and you tell someone that you are depressed, they are like, no, that's just in your head. You need to work out more, you need to go out more, you need to socialize, you need to talk more. That's just all in your head, and you're just making it up, and this is not real. So I got that a lot, which made it even more like lonelier, because these things are something that requires a lot of patience and understanding and empathy, which I don't think a lot of Indians are there yet to provide that. And I didn't have like the loved ones completely understand my condition either. It also gave me a lot of strength, because I had to battle it all by myself. And the fact that I've been able to do that tells me that I've grown into a very resilient person, and it just makes me stronger, honestly, to be able to come out of something like that, and to still keep going, because there are certain days which are tremendously hard, but it's just the mindset that I've created, that I've been able to create because of these hard days, are the ones that keep me going. So I won't lie, it has been very, very, very brutal, but l- now that I look back upon it, it just gave me a lot more strength to keep going. This one person in my life who I, I would tell, I confided in them that, oh, I have bipolar, and they just completely dismissed it, and they told me that my whole thinking is wrong. Like, I told them that this is a condition that does not have a cure at the moment. I can only manage it. This is something that I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life, pretty much. And they told me that, don't think so negatively. Don't think about how it will be like long term. Just stop thinking about it, or get out of your head, or you're studying the field, so you're just constantly thinking about it, or you're overthinking it. Like, these are the words that have literally been used. So they just completely dismissed my situation and the struggle that I have to go through, and they just told me that everything that I'm doing essentially with in regards to thinking about the disorder is wrong, and that I need to stop overthinking, or just get out of my head out for that. It was bad, so I stopped confiding in them after that, because I knew that I would not be able to get the support that I need regarding my condition. So I didn't talk about it, and then later, like few months down the line, the conversation also again came up, and it was the same response. Like, they just dismissed it completely. Like, they would just look at me and then get out of the room. So that was pretty invalidating. And now I just don't confide in them. I just don't tell them about it, or we don't talk about that at all. Like, I take there's nothing. It's okay. Like, not everyone's gonna get it. Not everyone's gonna be supportive. Not everyone's gonna be empathetic, and that's just how it is. It's a little brutal, but there's not much you can do about it, honestly. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not okay. I wouldn't say it's okay, but it is what it is. Yes, so my best friends are literally my ride or dies. I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for them. And they are available all the time. When I'm, especially when I'm struggling, no matter what it is, they're always there at the back of the call. They are there, supportive. I have a really good support system now. I have started confiding in my mom a little bit too. Like, she didn't used to fully understand the condition earlier, but the last 6 months has been pretty nice in terms of, like, when I'm struggling, I just let her know that I'm not doing well, and she'll just hear me out. So that's nice. My therapist and my psychiatrist have been going to them for 2 years at this point. So like, whenever I'm going through an episode, I'm able to understand that I'm going through an episode. So I just message them, book a session, and it's a good system now that I have in place. So there are people now who get it. When I was 15, there was this very dramatic incident that had happened at my house, and that really triggered me. That was like the main source of trauma that had entered. Which is why I started experiencing symptoms of PTSD, where just hearing someone's voice would like trigger me. I would get a lot of panic attacks at that point. I was disturbed. I would have flashbacks all the time. It was hard. Like, I was in 10th grade, ninth grade, turning going into 10th, and during that time I had my finals for ninth grade, and I do not know how I gave those exams. I remember, like, every single time I would look at the paper, I would just go blank, and every single time I look up, I would have intense flashbacks in my head. It was brutal. Somehow I passed those exams. It affected me on a daily basis, where I would just constantly get all those flashbacks in my head. There was this one person whose voice, if I heard, I would just get very anxious just by the thought of it. My anxiety levels were like off the roof. So my hands and my feet would get cold, and it was, everything would be affected. Like, I was just not okay at any level, and the depression also got so severe that I got suicidal at one point. And I just didn't want to be alive. I just wanted to die, and I was like, I can't keep living like this. So it was just every day I wake up and life is not good. I just don't want to keep living. So that was that. And my first experience with hypomania and depression, I really can't tell my first, because for 1 year I was undiagnosed. I think I experienced depression, the whole symptoms of bipolar. I think I experienced when I was 16, but I got diagnosed when I was 17. So for a year it was undiagnosed. So I don't really remember what my experience with hypomania was, but like the episode that I do remember was when I was traveling to France, and I was very high. I was there for like good 37 days, and I was very like riding a high because I was traveling and everything. So travel usually does, like, could potentially trigger an episode in US. I remember I was sleeping very less. I was meeting so many new people. I was very energetic. I had like grandiose ideas that I would do this and that and this and that. Like, overall, when I come to India, it was pretty euphoric. Like, I was feeling very, very euphoric. I don't know if it is completely categorized as an episode yet, because it's very hard to know that you're going through a hypomanic episode. So I don't know if I was just happy at that point, like insanely happy at that point, or if it was an episode. But that was what I remember. And with depression, so yeah, it got bad to the point, like I said, that I didn't want to live. And it was very hard because trauma that had happened, it hadn't got solved, so it was still ongoing. There was a lot of things that I had to witness. I was in survival mode for years. And then eventually I got better, but there were still periods where the depression would get so bad that I was honestly taking it one day at a time. And the fact that I'm alive the next day I would just be grateful that I'm alive the next day. So, if you're going through something similar to my journey, then I would first say seek help, be open about it, seek support. You deserve it, you need it, and it's okay to seek help. So go to the psychiatrist, the therapist. If it's not working, change your therapist and your psychiatrist. You need to seek help. You need to be open about it. You need to talk to your friends and family about it, or any trusted adult that you can feel like opening up about. Secondly, it's honestly it's very hard, so you need to educate yourself on these things as well. You need to get yourself acquainted with terms and terminology and be more self-aware. You need to read books, you need to listen to stories, you need to just acquaint yourself with things that are related to bipolar. You need to educate yourself on these things. I would say third would be show compassion to yourself. One of the most important things I've learned is whenever I'm going through a depressive episode, instead of being hard on myself, I always check my language with myself. It's like if I'm going through a hard time and if I sleep in, right? Instead of saying, "Oh, you're such a loser, you sleep so much" and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, why do I feel the need to sleep so much? Let's reconsider that for a minute. Being kind to yourself, being compassionate towards yourself because you need it. Oh, that's a good question. So I write anything that I'm feeling. Honestly, I've written some pieces about mental health, some pieces like that's a dear body, a letter to my body. I've written a poem on bipolar, what it feels like to live with bipolar. I have written on love and what self love, romantic love. So that's every poet, honestly, who writes it. And how I feel performing, amazing. I feel like I'm at the top of the world when I'm performing. I enjoy performing a lot. I've enjoyed public speaking from a very young age. So when I'm performing, it just feels very euphoric. It feels very nice to give power to my words and have others listen to it as well and have them relate to my work. So yeah, I miss performing. I haven't performed in some time. So I'll probably take some time out and see a gig and I'll go perform. Honestly, whenever you're performing in a space where it's for poetry, right? So people are very open about it. It's a non-judgmental space. So people have always responded very positively to my work. And even if it's about like mental health or what it feels like to live with bipolar or like something that's related to love, they have always like related to it and they've always listened to it intuitively. And yeah, it has been a very positive response so far. I love it. No, I wasn't aware about this study. That's insane. Wow. Okay. That's a good question. So, wow, I think I got featured in the Week magazine when I was 19. So I'm 21 now. Very scary. It was, I won't lie, talking about my journey with people and putting it out there with my face on it. Insanely scary. My latest feature has been on She the People. Um, it's an Instagram channel where they share women empowerment stories. So that was easy. It was very scary at the start, talking about my journey and being like, oh my God, it's actually going to be published out there. People are gonna read it, people are gonna see my name, they're gonna see my face, this is gonna come on the internet. So if people just look up my name, you can see all these publications as well. That was a very scary aspect at the beginning. I would be very nervous about these things, very anxious. But eventually, honestly, it gets easy. So if you go on my Instagram, you would know that I have bipolar because I'm so open and honest about my journey. And I think a part of that comes from the fact that I know that the fact that I am comfortable and I am open about my journey, it has helped other people talk to me and confide in me about their problems as well. So this has helped in community building. The power of storytelling is so crucial because you realize that when you are honest and open about your journey, it gives power to someone else to talk about their journey. So that is something that has always driven me. The fact that, oh, if I am being honest about this, I know it's going to impact someone in a very positive manner. To answer your question, it has been very scary at the start, but now it's easy. Now I don't mind talking about it. Even doing shows like this one, it's not that difficult for me anymore. And yeah, it's just something that adds value to the world. So this is something which I absolutely love. So I also run a podcast called Beautiful You, where we talk about journeys with people who have been diagnosed with different mental health disorders, and they want to talk about their journey and their message as well. So some of the people that have approached me have approached that, oh, I see that I've come across your podcast. I would like to be a guest on it. Some of them have talked about that. Well, I have a friend who's a really good friend. We didn't talk like at all. We were basically strangers, and he told me about his journey with mental health, his diagnosis with mental health, and he told me that he felt comfortable talking about it because he knew I would get it because I also have bipolar. So it's basically that, and also, if someone is struggling, they are not afraid to ask for help and come to me. They would tell me that this is what is happening. Do you have any contacts for a psychiatrist or psychologist? I would like to approach for help. Or they would just confide in me. And I think that is so powerful to be able to provide a safe space for other people as well. So the world and your life, just it's not just about you, but it's so much bigger than you, right? Yeah, a lot of people have just talked about their journey. They just want someone to listen to them. If not that, then they would want help. So I would direct them to any contacts that I have for psychiatry or therapy. Yeah. It is, yeah. That's a pretty loaded question. So, um, currently, I run a mental health care startup called Beautiful You. We advocate for mental health through content. So we are on Instagram. You can find us at beautifulyou.pod. We have a newsletter. We have a podcast where we share journeys of people diagnosed with mental health disorders and just anyone who has a mental health message to share with the masses. You can find that on Spotify and YouTube. And apart from that, currently we are bringing it offline. So we are also approaching schools and colleges where we would be talking about mental health, like psychoeducating people and bringing it offline. So that is another aspect that's happening. It's currently a team of about 30 members under me, and we have 5 departments. So yeah, that is essentially my work. And the people that we target are anyone who wants to educate themselves with mental health, with psychology, anyone who has an interest in it, anyone who wants to hear stories, anyone who is struggling with mental health and wants to get better. Those are primarily our audience. And we ran a video project in collaboration with Bipolar India last year, where we made a video where we talked about, like, we had volunteers who shared their journey with bipolar, and we made it into a video, and it got played at a national conference. So it's like, and that helped in community building, because it was for the people with bipolar by the people with bipolar, right? So being very candid about their journeys, that has been one. We also ran a month long mental health campaign in the month of May last year, where we had like we had daily prompts, and we had new episodes releasing every week. That helped people a lot by grounding themselves, by giving them the right resources that they need. We got some really good experience, like we got some really good feedback from that. And honestly, it's just expanding. Like, the work with my advocacy has honestly been expanding. I got featured in She the People, like I mentioned before. I'm in collaboration with Amaha, with another mental health care company. So honestly, it just keeps on growing, even as like a personal brand, even as Avantika, like for who I am, and as Beautiful You as well. So yeah, and moving forward, I would like to bring it offline and do more events, do more workshops, do more seminars, hold mental health circles as like a safe space for men and women to come and share their thoughts and their feelings, and just be present. I would like to expand my podcast as well and reach out to more people, get more collaborations, get more sponsorships, stuff like that. So the sky's the limit. So yeah, that is something that is on my mind, and that's something that I'm working towards for this year. Thank you. So much. It's We have made a lot of uh, progress for sure, but so much more needs to be changed. It's the way that people accept people. It's the way people look at people with mental health disorders. It's the acceptance part of it is a big deal. There needs to be more and more insurances that come up. Therapy and psychiatric services need to be covered in insurance as well. That is one thing. And yeah, the government laws need to be changed. The job prospects of it, the employment prospects of people with disorders. There is a certificate called disability certificate that will give you certain privileges if you get that certificate. But the conditions for that are I'm not completely aware about what the conditions are, but it needs to be more inclusive in terms of disorders. So yeah, there needs to be a lot of work to be done at the government level as well, in terms of just people in general, like people around you. People need to be psychoeducated about these things. There are so many disorders even today that has so much stigma about around it. Like, let's take an example of borderline personality disorder or schizophrenia. People have this notion that these people are very violent, or they are harmful, or they're just someone to be scared of, but that's not really the case. You need to humanize these conditions. You need to humanize these people going through it. They're just people at the end of the day who have certain conditions, and we need to share compassion to them. We need to accept them, look for a holistic development in general. A lot needs to be changed, and I think it starts from being more open and honest about your journeys. And because when someone talks about their journey, it humanizes the experience too. Like, if I don't tell you that I have bipolar, you wouldn't be able to tell me. It's not obvious. It's a brain disorder, so it's not obvious physically. I'm a very high functioning individual, so looking at my lifestyle, you would never like imagine that, oh, she has something that is so severe. So me talking about my journey will give people insight that, oh, okay, there is something called bipolar. These are the repercussions for it. These are the consequences. This is how someone lives with it. So it's like opening up and talking about your journeys as well will go a long way. Building a community, building a safe space, educating people about it. Honestly, I can go on and on about it. There needs to change. We are not there yet, but I'm very happy to see where we are right now compared to how we were like 5 years ago. For sure, there is some change in India. We just need to do more. Yeah. That's a good question. I would honestly tell them to, first of all, educate yourself on the condition, understand what it is, have yourself familiarized with the terminology, like what are the symptoms, what exactly is bipolar. So you need to educate yourself on that, understand it. Just listen to what the other person has to say. Talk to them instead of assuming that this is the help that they need. Ask them, what help do you need? Create a space of non-judgment. Just listen to them, talk about whatever that they need, and then try and then assess if you are able to give that to them. Thirdly, I would say do not pour from an empty cup. You need to first take care of yourself. It is sometimes a consuming disorder. If you're extremely like out of your way to support someone when you're the one who's not doing well, it won't do you any good or the other person any good. So you need to take care of yourself as well. And then only extend your helping hand. Those are the three things. Educate yourself, ask them and listen to them, provide them a safe space, and take care of yourself. I'm very open about advocating for my journey and mental health. So when I got your message on Matchmaker and on Instagram, I was very intrigued and I was like, oh, this is another way of me advocating, and sharing my journey out there. So that was my main inclination. Not really. It was a very well interview. I enjoyed all the questions. You had some really good questions. So I enjoyed all the process of it. And it was fun talking to you. Thank you for having me. I am really grateful that, you reached out and that we had this recording done. For those who are listening to the episode, if you would like to reach out to me, you can find me at avantika.b02, or you can find my Beautiful You startup at beautifulyou.pod on Instagram. Of course, yeah. It's my pleasure. You do. Thank you for having me. Bye.